So, my name is Emily Heidrich Uebel, and I am from Michigan State University, and I'm joined by my colleagues Danielle and Bethany to present on LCTL DOORs, our downloadable online open resources. So just a little roadmap of what we're going to do in these very quick 15 minutes. We're going to talk about the process of creating and developing the LCTL DOORs database. We'll go over how to use the LCTL DOORs site, and then we will talk about future expansion plans and spin-off projects. So with that, I'm going to hand it off to my colleague, Danielle.
Hi, so my name is Danielle Steider, and I am the Less Commonly Taught Languages Coordinator. So this is the site that you can see here, very beautiful, but let's kind of walk through of how this all started. It originally started back in 2014, and as part of my job, I have to train multiple teachers from multiple languages very quickly and getting up and running to teach courses. And if you are in LCTLs, the amount of background that they have is very variable. Some have a lot of experience and some have very little experience. Textbooks and materials are also widely divergent. So some have a textbook that was written in the 1960s. Some have great information, some have none. So what I had already done by 2014 is that I had already developed core curriculum for all of the languages, can-do statements, syllabus skeletons, but they needed more. You know, teachers definitely needed more. If you have no textbook, if you don't have a lot of experience teaching. So we started creating these activities that could be shared across languages, that are actual based on interpersonal, interpretive and and presentational, I'm sorry. And then they could be transformed into any language. And through 2016, 2019, we were just, scrambling and doing this outside of everybody's normal jobs. Sometimes we'd get an intern, sometimes we wouldn't. Sometimes we'd have a GA, sometimes we wouldn't. So teachers and I and the program were just trying to do this whenever we could. We got quite a bit created, but we realized that this could be a lot bigger. It not just help our program, but it could help any LCTL instructor out there in any program. And so in 2019, we approached the LCTL Partnership, which is a Mellon-funded grant. They have the organization, they have the funding, and they have some of the expertise that can take a bigger. And that's where we got the website. That's where we got the dedicated GAs to work on this program. And that's where I'll pass it off to Bethany.
Hi, my name is Bethany. I'm a grad student working on this project. I came on in 2020 to help start getting the site ready to launch. And so the first thing we did was in this process of cleaning activities, the first thing we did was to combine similar or overlapping categories. So for example, there was a category for clothing, shopping for clothes, and also shopping for groceries. And so we changed that so that it would be more navigable with a category just for clothing, having to do with articles of clothing, cultural dress, things like that. Food, only relating to words for actual food items or cooking. And then a category for shopping, which encompasses anything related to the actual act of buying, selling, bargaining, things like that. We then also combined similar activities. So over the years, multiple versions of activities of the same type were developed to enhance the variety available to instructors and also to give them the resources they need to recycle the material multiple times with their class. And so previously, each of these similar activities were in a separate post within the site, but we combined them so that they'd be all within one post. So zooming in from the top here, I have an example of what that looks like. I hope you can see that well enough, but within the same post now, we'll have two of the similar activities or multiple activities together under these version headings. So these are both vocabulary activities where you categorize you place words into different categories. So this way, instructors don't have to search around the blog to find the similar activities. They're all in one place. And then finally, we had to do some editing, some quality control of the activities. As you saw from the timeline, this project has been going on for a long time and many different people have worked on that. So the other graduate assistant and I worked together to go through the activities and edit them as needed to enhance communication and authenticity of these tasks. And I'll also show you how to navigate the blog, how to use this site rather. This is the activities page. But if we zoom in, we can look at the search function. It's on the next slide. So you can search by 40 different topics or categories. You can also search by level. Currently, we mostly have novice activities with a few intermediate activities. In the future, we will be developing more intermediate and advanced activities. You can search by skill. Currently, the default is to search by all skills, but we do have several subcategories there. And you can also search by actful mode. And I'll pass it back to Danielle to talk about how to adapt these activities for different languages and different contexts.
So this was the key working with my instructors, and then as we're now transferring over to Untitled Doors, was the most important thing is this is not simply translating activities word for word and implementing them. They have to be adapted, and we stress this a lot with the teachers, and we still came across some difficulties. The first thing we told everybody is to change names and places to match the target culture, and things like for example, in the greeting activities, greetings in English are going to be vastly different than greetings in other languages. Other languages might have register differences. So therefore, they might have to add a number of activities to do proper register, or they might have to change the activity significantly for it. The next one was use everyday language. For example, when we were on the school subjects topic, the Tamil instructor was like, this is so hard. I just don't know the word for physics. And I'm like, well, why don't you know the word for physics? And she said, well, we just use the English word physics. And I said, do you do that for all of the subjects? And she said, well, yeah, we just say math and physics and biology. And I said, well, if that's what you use in a Tamil speaking environment, and that's what, and a native speaker doesn't know the Tamil word, then use the English word and don't try to manipulate and use something that is not used. So just don't do that activity if it's really just the English word. Then the next one was a little harder. We don't, when we're doing this in English, we don't know this. So this is something that the teachers have to figure out, is make sure that the activity is appropriate for the language structure. There is tricky grammar in some languages for some activities. In a lot of the African languages, there's adjectives are very difficult for the grammar structure, not for the vocabulary, but for the grammar structure. And so saying he's wearing a red shirt is very complicated. And so they push, instead of trying to make it work, they push that whole structure to the end of the first year, maybe even the beginning of the second year. So they just skip they skip anything that's like adjectives, and they just skip it, and they push it back. And that's okay. They don't have to force a structure that's going to be really hard for the students. On the contrary, they might have an easier grammar that they can speed up some activities. We typically don't do past tense in the first semester, but there are some languages where the past tense is just a signal word. Yesterday I go. Well, if that's the case, then maybe you can speed up if that's necessary. So we'll pass it back off to Emily, and she'll talk about some of our future plans.
Great, thanks, Danielle. So some of our future plans with the Untitled Doors project are to add in a second year, to begin creating third and fourth year tasks, so advanced level tasks. And then we would also have a sister site that would host the specific language materials that have already been developed or are being developed that are basically these activities, but in the target languages. We already have some activities already developed in Bengali, Tagalog, Uzbek, Yoruba, and Hindi. We have all or most activities of what's currently on the site in Indonesian, Persian, Thai, Turkish, Tamil, and Vietnamese. And just with the resources that we have access to, we could easily get some more African languages such as Swahili, Zulu, Hausa, and we might even also be able to do Portuguese, possibly Quechua as well. So we're looking forward to doing some of those. And so this is what it might look like on the sister site, is that we would have the main activity that it would be referencing, and then the activity would be in the target language as well. So spin-off projects, and here I can see Rajeev's in the room. So we're featuring one of his textbooks. So there's OER textbooks that contain some of these little doors activities in them. So it's part of the key quality of reuse, remix. And so these are being used in various ways. So Hindi 1 has been published by our library OER project, and Hindi 2 is coming soon. Khmer is in copy editing, and then in the pipeline, we have the possibility of doing Urdu, Turkish, Persian, and Vietnamese. We are also planning on doing teacher training material, so using an OER textbook format to give some theory, but also largely practical techniques for how to use these materials. And it will use varied technologies and languages as we show people how to use these materials. So with that, we'll say thank you and allow for any questions that you may have. I'm going to go ahead and throw the link to our slides, as well as to the site itself in the languages or in the chat, and we will answer any questions you have.
We did want to add that our site literally went live about 4 days ago.
Yes.
So there are a few little things that we're finding now that it's live. Please be patient. They're working on fixing any kind of bug that still might exist.
Yeah, like right now, the activities page is showing the first name of the first activity, which is I Don't Like Tuesdays. So it looks like the titles, or the title of the page is called I Don't Like Tuesdays. So I mean, it's those kinds of things. But if you notice those, feel free to reach out, because we're always looking for more ideas, more feedback on how these could be used. I did see one question in the chat being geared to heritage language learners. These are for anyone. So it would be geared toward whatever instructor would like to use these and incorporate these in their classrooms. A lot of these activities are really ideal for computer graded work. So flipped classroom work, if they want to put them on their learning management system.
Yeah, when we started on our own, we were starting with the interpretive that could be auto-corrected in our course management system. So there is an overabundance of those. And then we moved to try to add in the other, interpersonal, and then some more classroom type interactive activities. But we're trying to get a little bit more balanced there to be more inclusive. But there are so many ways that you can do this, and the OER textbook, the teacher training textbook that we're going to try to come out with, the OER will have examples of using this with H5P or with Pear Deck or with some other examples that we could show you how it could be used.
Yeah, so Maria asked, which platform is it used to host on? We developed it within WordPress. So it's basically a database within WordPress on that site. And then Carl, we can definitely follow up on the derivative. So we'll have like a separate site that'll probably be like doors.languages, or something like that, or language doors, or I don't know. But that is going to be the thing where basically it will be like the doors site, but then you can just narrow it down by language as well. So all of the activities would be populated on that as well. So yeah, we look forward to you guys using it. We look forward to if you guys have suggestions for different activities or modifications, corrections, anything like that. We welcome that as well. So thank you.
Thank you all so much. I really appreciate it. This is a terrific website. And so congratulations on the launch. It's 4 days old. It's brand new. Very, very excited.